So I finally got around to putting the stuff on Vinted that I've been threatening to do for over a year now. And since I started putting it on there at the end of January, I think it was, beginning of February, I've made £160. £140 of that is in like the last 30 days. So I thought I'd share sort of like what I've learned, my tips to get stuff to sell. So the stuff that I've been selling has been either stuff that has still got tags on it, because I'm really bad at, well, not now, but I used to be really bad at buying stuff, and then if it didn't fit or I didn't like it, not sending it back and just sticking it in the wardrobe. And I found, I think, about £400 worth of stuff with tags on that I needed to do something with, because it didn't fit me anymore. It was all like size 8 and size 10. And the stuff that I'm selling is either new or almost new. Like anything that's not quite perfect, I've been donating to charity. Like not crap stuff, but you know, if it's kind of obvious it's been worn. I've got a cold again. Toddlers. I think Vinted is just only on an app, which I think can put some people off, but it's so easy to use. Now I tried to use it, I don't know, maybe like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and they've definitely improved like the experience since then. It is so easy to use, and it's not, I think it's mainly just like clothes and shoes that you sell on there. There are other things that you can sell on there. I've only really been doing clothes and shoes. I have sold some unopened aftershaves. You're not allowed to sell like any opened beauty products or anything. You can sell brand new stuff, but it is just mainly clothes and shoes that I've been selling on there. And when you first like open up the app and sign in, you have to put like your email address and details in, and you can set up your preferences. So you can set up preference for how you want to send it and bundles and stuff, but I'll go into more detail of these as I go along. Okay, so first tip is think about if it's the right time to be selling it. I've seen a couple of things that say like get your like Christmas bargains in now, but for me, I found there's no point putting Christmas stuff on at Easter, because people just aren't looking for it at the moment. I suppose if you just come across it accidentally, then you might think, okay, that's a really good bargain, I'll get that now. But for me, I don't see the point of putting Christmas stuff on now. And the same with like winter coats and stuff. I know that you could get quite a good bargain in that, but people aren't looking for winter coats. So for me, the timing is key. So photos, the photos of your items, obviously like the most important thing. You can have the most detailed description ever, and if your photo's crap, people aren't going to look at it. And the most important thing with photos is lighting. You need to have good lighting. I see quite a few photos on there. People have obviously done it at night time, and they've done it with like the flash on, and it just looks rubbish. Like natural lighting. It's not sunny here today, it's quite overcast, but this is just natural lighting, and this is like fine. This is what I would use to take photos of the stuff that I'm going to put on. You then need like a plain background. So for example, I wouldn't take photos of like vintage stuff here because there's too much going on in the background. So I either, if it's something that needs hanging up, I'll hang it up over like the wardrobe door or like the bedroom door, depending on what the light's doing on the day. Or if it's like shoes or something, or like small, I've sold a few vests, baby vests and stuff, I'll put that on like just a plain blanket, so that that's just the background, lay that on the bed. You can do it on the floor as well. I could probably do it on the floor in here. And I think I have before. When I attempted, I did like 2 uploads a couple of years ago, like I said, when I tried to use it before, and I'm sure I did like the photos in here on the floor, but just a nice plain background, and then like arranged nicely. So a lot of people say that you should iron your clothes before you put them on there. It might be controversial, but I am not ironing something that I might only be selling for like £1.50. I'm not bothering with that. So they might look a little bit screwed up, but I try and arrange them nicely so that they look okay. And I think people are understanding of that. Like, I'm not a boutique or anything. I'm just literally trying to sell something for like £1.50. I'm not wasting my time ironing it. Obviously, if you enjoy ironing and you want to do that, then go for it. But no, not for me. Take as many pictures as possible. So I tend to take a picture of like the front and the back. I'll take a picture of any labels, and that's really important if you're selling any branded stuff, because you're not allowed to sell fake stuff on there. So if you are selling branded stuff, you need like as many pictures of the labels as possible. I'll also take like any photos of the detailing on there. So if there's like buttons on the sleeves or there's ruffles or something, and take as many pictures of that. Another tip as well is if you're selling stuff that does fit you, maybe try it on so people can see what it looks like when it's on. I can't, because the stuff I'm selling is way too small for me, so I can't do that. And then if you do have any defects on there, it's important to show pictures of those as well. I've got a pair of shoes that I've put on that've got like a tiny mark on the heel. It seems like, you know, it's not really anything, but I've taken a picture of it and just said about it so that people can see that, because obviously you don't want anyone to come back to you and say, oh, well, I've bought this and it's got this mark on it. So if you have got any like marks or pulls or imperfections on there, it's definitely worth taking pictures of those and putting them in the description. My next tip is to price sensibly. Now, I see this quite a lot with like people selling stuff, is that they've paid maybe £20 for it and they think that they're going to get like 15 for it because it's new. There's like thousands and thousands and thousands of items being uploaded on Vinted like constantly, and people are on there looking for a bargain, so you have to price sensibly. And Vinted will show you, like as you're going through the upload process, they'll show you previously sold items that are similar, because their algorithms are very, very clever and they're like AI detection, and they'll like say, you know, previously sold, previous price between £3 and £6 or something. You can see what's sold and see whether it is like actually the same or similar to what you're selling. Have bundles on so that people can buy like more than one item and then they save on postage. And the bundles are actually quite good, because I sold 2 of John's suits that were new and in garment bags, and they bundled it together and they only had to pay 1 large parcel fee through Vinted or Yodel. I can't remember which one it was. But also with bundles as well, you can offer discounts. So I've got 5% off if they buy 3 items and 10% off if they buy 5 items. So it just means that you can like shift more quickly, and then they're not having to pay like £3 per item for delivery as well, because they pay for delivery. The buyers actually pay for all the fees as well. So if you're selling something for £5, you get £5 for it. You don't pay the postage and you don't pay fees on Vinted. Next tip is, although I said price sensibly, price slightly higher than you're expecting to get, because it's a marketplace and people do haggle. You can expect offers, and some of it's wild. Like I put a brand new outfit on for £5 and someone offered me £2.60 for it, and I was like, no. I've literally got it on there for £5. And also as well, people go through and favourite stuff, and what I've been doing is if someone favourites something, I will then send them an offer of slightly lower. If they favourited something, I will have a look to see if I've got anything like similar, so for example like toddler girl clothes, and then I'll say to them, you know, I've got these other listings and bundles are on, you can get a discount to save on postage as well. And then it sort of encourages people to buy stuff. I said before about making sure that you like detail any defects that there are or any marks or anything, and it's important to list them as well, because you don't want to get negative feedback. I don't know what the impact of having negative feedback is. So far, touch wood, I've had only positive feedback. I haven't had any negative dealings with anyone on there. I know that there are some like scammers and stuff out there. I'm assuming that positive feedback is always going to be a positive thing, and negative feedback can affect you. I don't know, but you do need to be honest about what you're uploading and what you're selling. The next thing I've learned, and it seems to be like the same as with any other algorithm, is that you need to be uploading consistently, because if you upload just a big chunk of stuff, then you're like at the top of the listings for everything for just like a few minutes, and then that goes. Whereas if you upload regularly, you're constantly going to have items at the top of listings. And I've been uploading like 2 items, not every day because I don't manage to do it every day, but I've been doing like 2 or 3 every other day, and that seems to be working for me, because it just means that I'm constantly there at the top of the listings with new stuff, and it seems that Vinted like that, which is they're going to, because they want you to sell stuff on there. Play around with your upload times. Now, I was just like shoving them on whenever I had a second to do it. It was normally like 3 o'clock in the afternoon before I went to pick my 3-year-old up. I've realised last Saturday I uploaded 3 items at about 2 o'clock, I think it was. And the weather wasn't great, so I uploaded these 3 items, didn't think anything of it, put my phone down, and I started getting a load of Vinted notifications through, and I was like, oh no, what have I done? What's happened here? But I'd actually sold all 3 items and a couple of other things as well that I'd just put on. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. So I tried it again this Saturday just gone, and again, out of the 3 that I put on, I sold 2 of them straight away. So having a play around with what times works best for you is really good, because obviously like your target buyer is going to be on at certain times. So I said at the beginning, you set up like your delivery preferences, and there are a few different delivery companies that you can use. I've only used Every and Yodel so far, simply because one, you don't have to pay anything up front. Like, I'm not sure how it works with Royal Mail, but I would assume that you have to pay for it and then get the money through from from Vinted that way. But with Every and Yodel, they create a label for you, and then you just go over to the shop that does it, and they print the label off there for you. They either do it, or you've got like a self-service thing that you do. And it's so much easier, because again, when I used Etsy a couple of years ago, I was having to print the labels off and then like sellotape them on, and it's just a ball ache really, whereas this is so easy. And I think like you can do store-to-store delivery with them, which is slightly cheaper, and you can do store-to-door as well. And whenever I've bought anything, I've always done store-to-door. I think that's right. And one thing I will say is make sure you write on, if you've got more than one parcel, make sure you write on them what they are, because I did it a few days ago. I took like 4 parcels over there, and I was like, right, this one is here, and I showed him my code and stuff, and he stuck it on, and I was like, no, that's not right, that's the wrong one. So I'm like feeling the parcels, and I was like, oh, hold on a second, I don't think that's right. So he changed them all over, and then when I left the shop, I was like, well, what if it was right? So now I write on them what they are. So just like, you know, toddler t-shirt or sparkly shoes or whatever. And then once you've done that, make sure that you keep your receipts. So as I said, I haven't had any problems so far, but I know that there are going to be people out there that aren't quite as honest. With Every and Yodel, it's all like tracked digitally, so it's quite difficult to say that you haven't received it. I mean, obviously you could have a dodgy delivery driver, but just make sure that you keep all the receipts, so that you know that if there are any problems, you've got the receipt there to say that you did send it. When it comes to like sending them, send them promptly. So I think you have 5 days from when they've like paid for the order to send it, and I always try and send mine either that day or the next day, just again for that good feedback. Like, I wouldn't expect to get bad feedback for not sending it promptly, but in this day and age where you can order something from Amazon in the morning and get it in the afternoon, like, people are expecting stuff straight away, so I always send mine as quickly as I can. Packaging wise, I've seen some hilarious things, like things have just arrived in some right funny packaging. I bought some just like parcel delivery bags off of Amazon, I think were like £5 for 25 of them, just so that it looks a bit nicer. Obviously I know I'm not a shop or anything, but that's how I do it. However, when I sent those 2 suits of John's, and they, like, obviously in garment bags folded up, they were huge, and had to wrap them in a bin bag, which wasn't ideal. That I cut like the top off so it didn't look like a bin bag, but the person didn't say anything about that. But yeah, I was like, I don't have any other way of sending them because these are way too big to fit in my parcel bags. There's a couple of ways that you can like boost items visibility on there. You've got just like the boost the item, which is like £1, and I think it like bumps it to the top, or it's called bump. But you can also spotlight your entire wardrobe as well. So once you've got like quite a few items on there, you can pay to spotlight your wardrobe, and then it like shows up when people are scrolling through, so that they can actually see wardrobe spotlight and then like all the items that you've got in there. I haven't used any of those yet. I'm thinking maybe I might try the spotlight wardrobe thing soon, because I've got about 40 or 50 items on mine at the moment that obviously with the spotlight on it might sort of boost them along a bit. But what I tend to do is, if something hasn't sold after a couple of weeks, I tend to like copy the description, delete it off, and then re-upload it again. But what I've found is that you can't just use the same photos, because Vinted flags it as like a duplicate item. So what I've been doing is like cropping the photo slightly, and that tends to avoid that issue. So there you go. They are the tips I have for you. As I said, I've been quite pleased with how well I've been able to sell stuff, and it means that I've decluttered quite a lot of the stuff out of the house, things that I am never going to fit into again. But there we go, guys. As usual, really hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, don't forget to leave us a like and a comment and hit that subscribe button. It makes us really happy. Lets YouTube know the videos worth sharing to other people. We'll see you next time. Bye.